If you or a loved one are struggling with type 2 diabetes, you should visit the link in the description below. This clinically proven, drug-free program lowers blood sugar to a normal level and can completely reverse type 2 diabetes within just a few weeks. Here's today's video.
The question: what causes type 2 diabetes in naturally thin people who are not overweight and never have been? Answer by Joseph Sarafsi. One of the latest hypotheses about how type 2 diabetes T2D occurs, and for which there is a growing body of evidence, is that it is caused by a failure of our adipocytes, fat cells. In the past, it was believed that T2D was caused by wearing out the insulin production system, pancreatic beta cells. So why do fat cells fail, and how does that lead to T2D? It is hypothesized that everyone has a personal fat threshold, which simply means that some people can store an unbelievably large amount of fat before their fat cells fail, while others can store only a little before failure. This hypothesis answers a few perplexing things, such as why some really obese people don't get diabetes and appear to be metabolically healthy, while some very thin people get diabetes, known as TOFI, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. Once you reach your personal fat threshold, your body tries desperately to force more fat into your overstuffed fat cells and produces more and more insulin to both try to store it and to keep the existing fat stored. At this point, the fat starts to leak out in the liver, pancreas and other organs become overwhelmed, covered with fat, and begin to have problems. This includes the insulin system now failing as well. When the insulin system can no longer keep up, eventually blood sugar will rise to diabetic levels. Sadly, that is very late in the process, so a great deal of damage has already occurred long before blood glucose goes out of control. So if you are thin but are taking in a great deal of excess energy and have a low fat threshold, you can get T2D even though you want to appear fat on the outside. Answer by Ramesh Kakan. Insulin resistance is caused by muscle cell fat, medically known as intramyocellular lipid. The muscle cell fat is not same fat as in obesity. The intramyocellular lipid is different from, for example, abdominal fat or fat around internal organs, visceral adipose, non-visceral fat such as found just under the skin, or intramyocellular lipid. So what causes this muscle cell buildup? One of the main factors causing fat to be collected in the muscle cells is inflammation. Coletta and Mandarino, L. 2011, Eckel, Grundy, et al. 2005. The inflammation causes damage to the muscle cells that result in fat accumulation. One cause of inflammation is meat consumption contaminated with endotoxins. According to a 2014 Consumer Reports study, 97% of chicken breasts purchased at American supermarkets contain hazardous bacteria. Cooking at a high enough temperature kills the bacteria, but does not destroy the endotoxin produced by the bacteria, which is embedded in the protein of the animal. When we consume meat, the saturated fat, which is also present in meat, causes the endotoxin to be absorbed into the body and our immune system sets off state of inflammation. Erich, Atiana, et al. 2007, Gannon, Abueshe, et al. 2009. The inflammation leads to fat deposition in the muscle cell. Another way fat is deposited in muscle cell by inflammation is by a process called acidosis. We have evolved from the bicarbonate-producing diet of our ancestors to our current high-protein, acidic diet. That increased protein consumption corresponds to greater intake of amino acids rich in sulfur. Sebastian, Frizzetto, et al. 2002. Amino acids are actually acids. When our body becomes too acidic, a state known as metabolic acidosis, our tissues become inflamed. Since our blood chemistry must remain within extremely tight margins for us to stay alive, our bodies go into emergency mode to keep the blood pH at safe levels. One mechanism by which the body fights to maintain pH is taking out calcium from muscles and dumping it into the bloodstream, as calcium can neutralize the acid. This leaching of calcium from muscle cells causes muscle wasting and leads to fat deposition in the muscle cells. Adiva and Pseudo 2011, Donadai, et al. 2013, Pseudo, Donapatri, et al. 2011, Frizzetto, Morris, et al. 2001. The acidosis in those on high-protein/low-carb diets is confirmed by their very low bicarbonate levels. With the recent application of 1-HNMR spectroscopy technique to check cellular insulin resistance, a non-invasive technique, it is possible to check change in insulin resistance after a meal. Diets high in fat caused increase in cellular level insulin resistance, not full-blown diabetes, in as little as 3 hours after the meal. Krasok et al., 1999. If which damages continued repeatedly without proper recovery time, it could lead to full-blown diabetes in some people after a period of time. In case of carbohydrates-based diets, no increased insulin resistance was seen. Carbs do not cause insulin resistance, they just show the symptoms of insulin resistance, which we see as elevated blood sugar level. Alpha genes play a role in developing insulin resistance. Diet plays a more important role. A documentary produced by the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, profiled a pair of 35-year-old twins who went on separate diets for a month. One ate very low carb, high in animal protein diet, and the other ate a very low fat diet. By the end of the month, the low carb brother complained of being constipated, having brain fog, and lacking energy. He did lose more weight, but much of it was water weight. Most interestingly, he showed increasing fasting blood sugars, showing increased insulin resistance. Thus, high-fat or high-protein diet causes insulin resistance. In addition, diets affect gene expression, with good diet down-regulating bad genes, and up-regulating good genes. Reducing fat to minimum, avoiding animal protein, and focusing on high-fiber complex carbohydrates has shown to actually reverse insulin resistance and thus reverse both diabetes, as shown in the figure below. Barnard, Lattimore, et al. 1982, Barnard, Massey, et al. 1983. References: Paletta and Mandarinol, Mitochondrial Dysfunction and Insulin Resistance from the Outside In, Extracellular Matrix, the Cytoskeleton, and Mitochondria. MJ Physiol Endocrinometab, 301-5, E749 E755. DOI, 10.1152/Ibendo. 00363.2011, Ickel, R. H. Grundy, S. M. 2005. The Metabolic Syndrome. Lancet, 365 9468, 14,151,428. DOI, 10.1016/S0140673605, 66,378-7. Arage, C. Atiana, T. Spigot, C. M. and Webb, D. J. 2007. A high-fat meal induces low-grade endotoxemia, evidence of a novel mechanism of postprandial inflammation. MJ Clean Nutri, 86.5, 12,861,292. Gannon, H. Abuache, S. Sia, C. L. Borisanowski, K. Chaudhary, A. Fernandez Real, J. M. and Dandona, P. 2009. Increase in plasma endotoxin concentrations and the expression of toll-like receptors and suppressor of cytokine signaling 3 in mononuclear cells after a high-fat, high-carbohydrate meal. Implications for insulin resistance. Diabetes Care, 3212, 22,812,287. DOI, 10.2337/GC090979. Sebastian, A. Frizzetto, L. A. Selmeyer, D. E. Merriam, R. L. and Morris, R. C. 2002. Estimation of the net acid load of the diet of ancestral pre-agricultural Homo sapiens and their hominid ancestors. MJ Clean Nutri, 76.6, 13,081,316. Adiba, M. M. and Pseudo, G. 2011. Diet-induced metabolic acidosis. Clean Nutri, 34, 416,421. DOI, 10.1016/J. Clonu, 2011.03.008. Danadai, T. R. Danadai, M. N. Albuquerque, A. A. De Carvalho, M. T. Salado, A. C. and Evora, P. R. 2013. Metabolic acidosis treatment as part of a strategy to curb inflammation. In J. Influm, 2013, 601,424. DOI, 10.1155/2013/601,424. Pseudo, G. Donapatri, C. Calvino, J. and Adiba, M. M. 2011. Metabolic acidosis induced insulin resistance and cardiovascular risk. Metapsin reluctus ort, 94, 247,253. DOI, 10.1089/Met. 2010.0108 Frazzetto, L. Morris, R. C. Selmeyer, D. E. Todd, K. and Sebastian, A. 2001. Diet, Evolution and Aging Pathophysiologic Effects of the Post-Agricultural Inversion of the Potassium to Sodium and Base to Chloride Ratios in the Human Diet. J. Neuter, 45, 200,213. M. Kursuk, K. Falk Peterson, A. Dresner, L. Dibetro, S. M. Vogel, D. L. Rothman, M. Roden, G. I. Schulman. Intermyocellular lipid concentrations are correlated with insulin sensitivity in humans, a 1-HNMR spectroscopy study. Diabetologia. 1999 Jan, 42-1, 113-6. Barnard R.J., Lotta Morel, Holly R.G., et al. Response of non-insulin-dependent diabetic patients to an intensive program of diet and exercise. Diabetes Care 5, 1982, 370,374. Barnard R.J., Massey Mr., Cherney S., et al. Long-term use of a high-complex carbohydrate, high-fiber, low-fat diet and exercise in the treatment of MIDD patients. Diabetes Care 6, 1983, 268,273. Resources: Proteinaholic by Garth Davis, MD. Answer by Suzette Menon. Diabetes is a condition in which, due to a variety of reasons, insulin is not able to help the cells and tissues get glucose in proper amount for their cellular metabolism, thereby increasing blood glucose level beyond normal range. The molecular or cellular reasons could be many. But as I understand, you are seeking macroscopic reasons that we can relate to. It is not just obesity, lack of exercise. Insulin is a hormone produced by pancreas. So, EDCs, endocrine disrupting chemicals, that we are getting in plenty through use of almost any kind of plastics, phytohormones, other chemicals through food and water, lack of micronutrients in diet, our lifestyle, food intake habit, load on liver, etc. can be factors that can disrupt either molecular 3D structure of insulin, make our cells insulin resistant, affect pancreatic cells and insulin production, etc. There is a way to prevent getting diabetic. A small addition of an anti-diabetic Ayurvedic formulation in non-medicine form naturally to your daily intake of coffee. It helps with visceral fat loss to an extent and also in digestion and skin conditions.